Hello, this is wmpyr here to respond back to some of your questions and comments. I apologize. I'm doing it in this format, and it's just to try to stay safe from the hack bots. So the first one says, could you do a double sinawali, redondo, abanico, and sombrada techniques again? Sorry about the misspelling. God bless. Yeah, look, I apologize because the Filipino terminology is not my area of expertise here. I'm not good at it, and I kind of stay away from it. And part of that is because I don't speak the language. I wish I did, and of course, I've been training in Kali, Eskrima, and Arnis for so long that I encounter it a lot, but from my experience that the the terminology is not very consistent. So that was one of the other reasons why I kind of just stay away from it, because I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time trying to figure that kind of stuff out. And in the past, I did something with Floretti, and it was just a nightmare. It opened a bunch of can of worms, and some nasty people came out, and they were like, even though I did the research, they were like, "Oh, you're so wrong." It's one of those people, or these kinds of people, that they feel good by making you make a mistake, or they want you to make a mistake. I don't think I made a mistake. I look back on it, and I know that I did the research. So but they like to look down on you, and they want to step up, and they get off to that for some reason. So I just stay away from that kind of negativity is what I'm saying. I know you don't I'm pretty sure you don't mean anything negative by it, but yeah. So I apologize for that. So the double sinawali, what I call is arm weaving, right? And so that's with double sticks. The most famous one is the Heaven Six. I have a bunch of videos with the Heaven Six. The Redondo, that's where you can start getting tricky. What do some within the Filipino martial arts, what people call the Redondo? For me, I just, it's like the Heaven Six, but done more in a circular motion, smoother. Now that may not be accurate for other people, but that's the way that I do it, because Heaven Six can be done like striking style, but you can make it to where you're emphasizing a figure eight pattern. And that's kind of the way that I teach that. So the next is the Abanico. For me, that's the fan motion. And, I've seen other people do the the Abanico technique. And to me, it's like, you call that an Abanico? But look, I'm once again staying away from all that. The fan motion, it was originally taught to me to do, up here. So you're doing it at this line right here. But then as years went by, I learned that you could do it virtually from every angle. Okay. So Abanico, from my understanding, means fan motion. So that's what I call it. And the sombrada, again, is another one that, for me is kind of like the one-for-one type technique. But I've broken off from that, and I really don't spend a whole lot of time with that. My favorite one is the Force2Force Block, where we go back and forth. I like that. You can put in some decent force power behind it. So, but yeah, once again, what people define as sombrada and all that, it's just not my area. So I apologize for that. So I recommend you go ask somebody else that they're much better with that kind of thing. Next is let me go to here. So wmpyr, very good. Are you in Southern California? No, I'm not. I'm in Texas. Pretty much been in Texas most of my adult life, should I say, or most of my life, period. So I'm a Texas guy. I have visited Southern California, and there's a video where I went to LA and I talk about that experience. It was a crazy experience. Also New York, there's a video where I did that. And I did live in Florida for a little bit. So anyway, okay, so Mr. Karate Fox, who it's been what 9 years, bro, man. So this is a guy that I've known from 9 years ago. He said, solid blocking techniques. It's great delving into the analysis as well as showing the movements. Well, thank you. He's referring to my video where I show you guys the SWAT technique that I did recently, which comes from the Force2Force Block. And that's something that I don't know if he remembers, but that's something that I was showing people 9 years ago. I developed it, even before that, but it's been consistent. I still don't change that. I feel that it is a very, very good technique. It's linked to your other defensive techniques. So if you learn, you don't have to literally, do the Force2Force block in real life, but if you practice that way, it'll help all your other defensive techniques. So to me, it's like a core piece. It's like a key piece to the puzzle. Very, very important. So that's all I got to say about that. And here we go. Uncle Cow, hey bro, he watched the same video and he says, awesome bro, really cool technique, looks very wheelchair friendly. I believe so. Yeah, I think it's one of those that you could definitely do sitting down. And man, if you like catch their arm with the stick that you're smashing down, and then on maybe the bar of the chair or something, or on the wheel, and you could sandwich, and that would be even better if you sandwich their arm. So this guy says, cool, I learned that in Riot Baton Training, Hambo, and Kalinda. Okay, so yeah, the Force2Force block is definitely something that has been around. I did not invent it, but going from Force2Force to the SWAT technique. So the SWAT technique I define as it's a parry, it's a check, and it's a slap down, okay? And those three are like applied into the Force2Force block. And really, it's still the same motion as the Force2Force block. Like, I've seen baton people, tactical baton and stuff, they teach it. But the training method that I describe in the video, to me, is cutting edge. That is something I've only seen it once else outside of my YouTube channel, actually. Like I said, the Force2Force block and holding, a stick this way, there's nothing new about that. But the training method that I'm describing and the actual usage, I'm sorry, I wish I could show you guys like really good video footage of having a student or somebody just attack me with a knife and I could just block like that. I really wish I could show you that. But there's one other people showing it that I've seen on YouTube, and it's exactly the way that I'm describing, and it seems to me like they got it from Filipino martial arts. They're not Filipino martial arts people, but they show it extremely well. They've shown it way better than I've ever have, but it's the same thing. The only difference is with Filipino martial arts, you learn, and I've been saying this to you guys over and over, is that when you learn, whether it's the angles of attack or Heaven 6, there's two primary ways to do it. Number one is the slash, and number two is the strike. So it's the same angle, but it's a strike and then it's a slash, okay? So what they're doing is they're dealing with strikes. So it's like a jab and they are striking boom, 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 and they do it very fast, just like the way I explained, and it's exactly. But you also have to be able to deal with the slash. If it's not a bladed weapon, that means it is a blunt or it's an impact weapon. And against the impact weapon, it's a strike that is full swing. So to deal with that, you can't just do this. It's a little bit more complex than that. Now you have to have proper body mechanics. Now you got to move out of the way while you do it. And that's where more Filipino martial arts training is necessary. And I don't see them do that. They're lacking in that. So they only have the quick against the strike, but they don't have against the full the full swing, the follow through, or should I say the slash, which is all the same thing. So they're lacking half of it. They only have half of the equation, in my opinion. Okay, so I just want to make that very, very clear. It's not so much the technique, it's the training method. And the way that I figured it out, the way where it suddenly clicked for me, was when I was doing the Muay Thai training with the forearm pads. That's when I was like, I was holding the shields for people to my friends and students to hit it. And as I was doing that, and I was being the pad guy for them, it was very important for me to realize that they shouldn't be the only ones benefiting. The pad holder should also benefit. And when I started focusing, I was like, hey, this is the same as I'm defending. Okay, so now I got to use timing. And when they throw the kick, boom. So I was like, wait a minute. This is the defense. This is, okay, so I'm using, the forearm shields like this, and bam, like that. So I was like, this is the same as the Force2Force Block. And that's when, connecting it with the Muay Thai forearm pad work, that's when it clicked for me. And that's when it became from just regular Force2Force Block to the SWAT, the SWAT technique. That's how it was born. Okay. So anyway, let me go to the next. All right, so the Killa method, once again, he says, this makes perfect sense, like in the breakdown you did for me. This is the same block to stop a knife just with a stick or knife of your own. Yeah, I believe so. So once again, this is the Force2Force Block. I'm telling you guys, the Force2Force Block, I found it to be incredibly important. Look, if I'm in the street out there and someone comes at me, with a knife or a weapon or something, that's probably what I'm going to be doing, is the Force2Force Block. Now, I can tell you now that the roof block, umbrella block, all the other blocks that you use in Eskrima Kali Arnis, once you know the Force2Force Block, the way that I'm describing it to you, once you've done that kind of practice, then all of those other blocks, you could do it in the same manner. So it's connected. And so you'll be able to suddenly use those against a knife attack, against someone swinging a baseball bat at you. Because once you get that Force2Force Block, and from my understanding, that's not the normal way people train in Filipino martial arts. People do the roof block, the umbrella block, that kind of stuff. When they strike and you're countering over here like this, you're using a number 1, 2, defend. That kind. They're doing that for years and years and years until they start to go into the Force2Force Block. So I'm trying to kind of give you guys a shortcut and say, hey man, try it this way, okay? And also, I watched a video with Professor Bram Frank not too long ago, and when he mentioned, you got to meet the force, that his teacher, who is my teacher's teacher, Professor Remy Presa, said, meet the force, that made me feel really good. That made me go, oh, all right, they're saying the same thing, okay? So anyway, let's go to the last one because I don't want to make this video too long. It says, I like DP7 as well. I wish Marvel would make a DP7 movie. So this is the comic book review I did a while back. So DP7, Displaced Paranormals. Yeah, I agree with you, man. That is an excellent comic book. So to see it in a movie would be cool, but they would need a very specific kind of director, in my opinion. And the producers also have to kind of have the same kind of page, same kind of idea, where they would do it retro style. So you know how some of those movies they've done today, but it looks like it was shot in the 70s and 80s. I think that's how you got to do DP7. Because I would hate for them to do what they did to Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm a big fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy from the 90s. I've even read the ones before that. But I like really the ones from the 90s. And when I saw the movie, I could not recognize it. I was like, I don't know this at all. It's 90% different from what I've read for years and years, you know. So that was a disappointment for me, and probably for any old school fan. So people like the Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying they should have given it a different name because it's so different. The ones that I've read, there is no Raccoon, there is no Groot. I mean, those are two huge characters that people really like. And then Drax is completely different. Drax is a Terminator that goes after Thanos. He's a Thanos killing machine in the comic books. And in the movie, he's like this lovable, dumb brute, and it's not the same, guys. I'm telling you. So if you come from the movie and you read the Guardians from the '90s, I think you're going to be very disappointed, and I don't blame you. And then me coming from the comic books from the '90s and then watching the movie, I'm super disappointed too. So I just hope they don't do that with DP7. All right, so I said that was going to be the last one. So that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.